Deep Purple. Tennessee Waltz.
On behalf of the President of the United States Army, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service.
May I have your attention, please? I'm grateful for this great honor. On behalf of the United States of America and the United States Armed Forces and Technical Army, I want to be showcasing to the members of your loved one the willingness to defend our freedom. May God bless you and your family. And may God bless America. A little token from the tip of Nova Saga ceremonial dog tag. And folks, if you continue praying defenders of this great nation, especially those men and women who are defending our freedom. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you.
All right, I'll share a quick one. About 21 years ago, I was marrying into the Hickenbotham family and by extension into the Walker family. And they were throwing a bridal shower for my wonderful wife. And while the girls were doing all the whatever happens at those kind of things, and pinning bows in her hair and stuff, the guys, we went out for ice cream. And Bryce was there, and Jairus, I'm pretty sure you were there, Davin was probably there, and I believe Mark and Grandpa Walker was with us as well. And we went out for ice cream, just some shop there. There's other people there getting ice cream or whatever else they were going. And Grandpa Walker pulled out his harmonica right there in this very public place and started playing this song after song, which was just hilarious. It kind of reminded me of my own grandpa, who also played the harmonica. But the best part of it was how absolutely embarrassed Bryce was. Dad, don't do that! More than one.
I'm going to try right now while I'm up. Trying to figure out which memories to share. I've got several, and most of my memories are more of just the kind of the look Grandpa would give you when you did something that he kind of approved of or thought you were clever with. I think Bo and I, when we were over at Tabiona, this is probably Bo, you might remember this too, but Grandpa was definitely a fisherman, and in Tabby, we could just walk anywhere and go anywhere, and usually we'll go down to one of the lakes there. Grandpa was also fishing. But Bo and I think got this clever idea that we could bring the fish back. Was that with you, Bo? I think it was. And we brought it back. I think it was either the TP camp or it was a different camp they were that year. I can't remember. But all you guys that did Tabby, you remember TP camps and things. But we had a stream up there. We thought it'd be clever to take some fish back live and then put them up in the stream. And as we got over there, I thought maybe we might get in trouble because we moved the fish. And Grandpa kind of came over there and he's like, "You put fish over here?" Yep, kind of gave a little smirk and walked away. I'm like, "Oh, Grandpa's all for that." Another one was when, I don't even know how old I was, but I remember we went out rabbit hunting. And this is before all the wonderful buildings that were going down towards Alpine, where the microchip place and all that. We were thinking about where to go, and finally we decided. I think it was somewhere on the west side of Utah Lake. I can't remember exactly. I just remember there was a lot of walking, and we didn't see any rabbits. But luckily, Grandpa had a secondary plan, and Bryce was there, and everyone was there. He brought a bunch of explosives, and my dad was there too. So this is another. So it's long time ago. So anyhow, I just remember that we had to take cover, and he stuck underneath a big juniper tree, and it was one of those explosions that didn't go off at the right time, so we had to wait for a while. But when that went off, the pieces that were from that juniper tree were just small and big and everything from just huge. And I don't think it was the acetylene one on that one. I think that was actual dynamite. Maybe Bryce knows for sure, but it was pretty crazy. And going along with the acetylene thing, I remember always coming over to the grandparents' house there and just couldn't wait to hear the booms because I thought it was so much fun. And I was so bummed when I heard that he wasn't allowed to do that anymore. He had someone come up and said he couldn't make the bombs anymore. But we'd be eating dinner, and Grandpa would come running with a big grin on his face, and he'd just like wait for it. Boom! Boom! It was so fun. Those are just a couple of my memories I got there.
I want to set off
Okay, so I have a fun memory too, real quick about Grandpa. I don't know if you guys know this, but Bryce is a producer, and he produced a great movie for us one day. It was called Predator 2, and I was the Native American guy, and Dave was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dave Hickenbotham, and we made this big movie. I don't even know where it's at anymore, but I just remember it very well. But in the end, the Predator, of course, they have the big bomb. And so Grandpa had to be a part of that, of course. And he brought out, it was a 5-gallon bucket bomb. I mean, he was going to go all out with this thing. And it had colors in it and everything. So when that thing blew, it was like colors that were flying in the air and everything. We recorded it, and he was in his element. It was really fun. But that was one of my great moments. I remember I had to taste some mayonnaise that dropped on Dave's shoulder, I think, and say, bird, 3 days or something. It was a fun time, and that's just a family memory. But of course, Wayne was the top of it all. So, squaw. Yeah, that's right. It was.
Black Crow Squaw, age 2 winters.
Thank you. Yes. Good times. Do you guys have that movie still? It'd be so funny to see it again. But anyway, good memories. And then one last one, and I don't know if Nick, is this one you talked about us going rabbit hunting with that? I missed that outside, but yeah, he blew up. No, it was the same thing. It was just we were out rabbit hunting, and he had that smile on his face. He brought all of his, bomb making materials, and he sat under a tree, and we ran. And that tree blew up, and we had pieces that were hitting us out in the car from like yards away. It was, yeah. He was always devious. It was great.
There are so many things I could tell about my dad that are so fun, but the one that really impressed me, well, one of them, he decided to put.
Walk up a little bit, Marcy.
He decided to put a heater or something in the side of the house, in the basement. So he decided to blow out that part of the house to put it in. What was he going to put in, Mom? A furnace? Okay, all right, okay. So he decided he was going to fix his bomb so it would just blow that way out of the house. And of course, in the basement there's furniture and all sorts of good things down there. And no, he's going to blow up that part of the house, okay? So it was time. He set it up, everything, and Mom went and got in the car, turned the music on really loud.
I didn't even stay in there. I
No.
got in the car.
Got in the car.
Got the house and blow up around
Yep,
it.
put the music on. Everything was all set, and boom! He blew up part of the house too. No, he blew up over there, and then a lot of the stuff landed on the couch and all the things, And but it broke a couple of things in the house. But it did work mostly, sort of. Well, what was really fun is that I submitted that story to a radio station. Everyone said, if you want to submit something, so I did. I submitted it to a radio station, and I won. We won, and the parents got to go to, let's see.
No.
Mesquite. Was it Mesquite?
No.
It was Mesquite or Las Vegas.
No. What's in between Utah and Wendover?
Wendover. Okay. So they got to go to Wendover. I kept the prize. They got to go to Wendover for free for 2 nights in Wendover for free. And so, ta-da! I thought, what was interesting is they said, have you told anybody? I says, no, this is the first time. They said, oh, and I was afraid I was going to get my door knocked on. Did you know that, but no, I didn't have any problem. They got to go for free over to Wendover.
I was scared to death.
Okay, I feel like I don't have a ton of memories because I just don't remember a ton. But there's just a few things that I do remember. One of them, I think we'll all say together, mystery meat. His grandpa cooking who knows what that he found who knows where, that we'd have to be watch out for that. But he'd always want everyone to try it. And then as we were driving past that park on the way to the gravesite, I remember that park with the gazebo and stuff. And I remember whenever I'd go there with Grandma and Grandpa would always take googly eyes and put them on the stumps of the trees and put faces on the trees where they had been cut off or whatever anyway. So I just remember that, and as we were driving I was like, I wonder if those googly eyes are still there. And then I feel like I remember him hollowing out a small part of a tree and putting an arrow through it. And so I was curious. I was like, I want to stop there and see if there's still an arrow through a tree. I wonder if anyone sees that and never says anything about it. And then just one more. When there was a fire on the hill, I can't remember what the fire was or whatever, but it was like in Grandma and Grandpa's backyard where you could see it. And he would have us all climb up on top of that big shed, one of the many sheds, but the big one that actually has roof shingles on it. We would climb up and sit on there and watch them put out the fire and pour the buckets of water on it and stuff. And then of course all the fun stuff that we found in Grandpa's sheds with his eclectic items that he had found was just great. And he would always, whenever I'd go stay with Grandma and Grandpa or they'd babysit me or whatever, he'd always have to stop at the 5-cent store. So wherever we went, he would always have to go find the All a Dollar or the different stores, and we'd go in and he'd make me pick something. And anyways, it was just fun. Grandpa was great, and I miss him. But yeah, that's all.
Okay, I got a story about Grandpa. I'm Dan, Brianne's husband, if you don't know me. So, I'm first into this, I get married into this family, I go to this Christmas party at Grandma and Grandpa's house. And we go up to, in their kitchen, they have all of the food laid out where we all kind of make our little line and we go through. And I start seeing different things on the shelf there, just right there on the little shelf. And I start looking at expiration dates on the donuts, okay? So this is weird, right? I'm brand new in this. This is 21 years ago, almost 22 years ago. So I'm looking at these things, and so Grandpa comes, in his little slow walk with his little grin with his hands in his pockets, and I said, "Hey, Grandpa, where'd you get these?" He's like, they were somebody who, I don't know who said his favorite was clearance or whatever it was that you guys talked about in the church up there. Come to find out, I talked to Uncle Mark, and Uncle Mark lets me know that he gets these things from the dumpster behind the bakery. And he would bring them in. And in that same dinner, I watched him take my paper plate and my fork out of the garbage and put it back in service. Anyway, I thought it was awesome, Wayne.
So I was telling my daughter Jora that the thing about Grandpa was that he always was smiling. So if he was doing something sneaky, you had to look at him and study his smile to see if it was his normal smile or if it was "you're about to be tricked" smile. Like when he offered Wendy mystery meat and she was like, "What is this, Grandpa?" And he's like, "Just try it." And I'm like slowly backing away. And Wendy's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Do you not see the smile?" And it sort of turns out that was squirrel. Or when he offered us my mom's own banana bread recipe, which she's like famous for, and she always makes banana bread. But he offered it to us with that smile. And we were like, what's with this? And he's like, "It's great." And we're like, "Yeah, normally." Turns out he had added lettuce to it just to see what lettuce and banana bread could taste like.
Banana bread doesn't taste like bananas, so why would lettuce bread?
And when I lived with them, we got to live with them for a while, and it was kind of this amazing thing because no matter what I wanted, Grandpa could get it. Because I'd be like, "Mom, I want to play with some Play-Doh. Do we have Play-Doh?" She says, "Have you asked your grandfather?" I said, "Well, not yet. Do you think he has Play-Doh?" She says, "Somewhere." So then I would say, "Grandpa, I'd like some Play-Doh." And he'd say, "Let's see what we can do." And we would have a tour of like all the sheds, and he would find me the thing I wanted or a reasonable facsimile. And that felt like magic as a child, that he always had the thing that I wanted.
It's like Mary Poppins' bag.
Yeah. When I grew up, we lived in a house that had no trees around it, and my kids really wanted to jump in the leaves. And I said, "Well, you know how there's tons of leaves? My grandfather has tons of leaves. We'll go up to his house, we'll rake up some leaves, and we'll jump in them." So I told my mom, and she told my grandfather, and we show up, and we're like, "Okay." And we go over, and there's a pile of leaves, and we're like, "We'll jump in these." And he's like, "No. I have one set aside for you guys." And we're like, "What?" He says, "I have one set aside." We're like, "Okay." So we go over, and he chose the worst spot ever. It's right below tons of branches of a tree. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to work, Grandpa. Let's go back to the one that was a tree. And he's like, no, this one. And we're like, let's go back. And he smiles and he says, no, this one. And I'm like, okay. So all my kids get ready to jump in these leaves, and I'm filming it because it's their first time jumping in leaves. And they all jump, and then they disappeared because it was a hole that was like 10 feet deep that he had managed to fill up with leaves.
Deep hole, extremely wide.
All my kids just went, whoa, and disappeared. I was like, what in the world? So that was the last time that he really tricked my family really good.
Ever since then, wear copies of your children in the restaurant in Narnia. Leaves for Sunday, we like in
Okay, so Grandpa, of course, he had all his many sheds and all his many, I don't know, items. And so Jamie and I, decided to ask Grandpa if we could take things from all of his many sheds and make a hideout in the woods. And so he said, yeah, go ahead, that's totally fine. So we would scouring through all these sheds. We were finding the most coolest items. Like, remember that, Jamie? Like, we were like, whoa, where did he get this? Oh my gosh! So we were dragging all these items into the forest, making this cool hideout. And it took us all day. And we were so proud of ourselves. And we're like, we'll come back here every day and play in this hideout. I know it's backyard. But the thing is seriously, as soon as we finished and we were so proud of it, we walked away to get some food or something. We come back and Grandpa had already taken all of his collector items back to each one of his sheds. Like, how did he know where they went even? Like, we were like, how? And he was so fast. Like, he grabbed that stuff and he was gone. And so our whole hideout, after 4 hours of work, was gone in 30 minutes. He cleared it out. So it was pretty impressive. He might have moved slow, but no, he was not. He was actually, if you blink, you would miss him. Like, he could actually move that guy. Another memory we have just recently when we went to see him with the family, it was Dad and the kids. We went to see Grandma and Grandpa at their house, and we just brought them some pizza, and I guess his grandpa's favorite meal was pizza, so he was so excited, which we didn't know. We were like, woohoo! Well, he really liked pizza because when we went to eat the pizza outside, I was gonna just clean up the mill and, put the pizza away and stuff. We went in there, and the pizza was gone, all the slices were gone. And so I was like, Grandpa, do you know where all the pizza went? And he's like, Grandma really likes pizza, so I saved her some pieces. And I'm like, Grandpa, we were going to leave this for you. You didn't have to hide it. And he's like, oh. And so I was like, here, let me give you the rest of it. It was so cute. He was totally just trying to be sneaky like he likes to do. But yeah, great memories, sheds. I do remember getting in trouble from Grandpa many times because we would be jumping on top of his sheds. And he'd come out and be like, get off my shed! So he was definitely vocal when he wanted to be too, just so you know. Hi, Grandpa.
Yeah, when we made that shed into a slide, yeah, he didn't like that.
No. There were certain times we're like, oh, Grandpa, he's like a dramatic protecting his goal.
All right, so my quick little story. I feel like I wasn't super close to Grandpa as much because obviously I'm pretty young. I'm Marcy's kid, Angie's kid, so he's my great grandpa, a little far away. And so I was close to him. I feel like I was more close to great grandma Walker, but we had a couple good moments just recently. One of them was we were at his house, my family, we visited them, and he didn't seem to be all there. I mean, he still was there, but he was didn't really know who I was, and it was nice to see him, but he was just sitting on the couch and just hanging out. And then I started talking to him about his harmonica playing, and he lit up, and his eyes just lit up. And so he stood up, and he hadn't stood up the whole time we were there, and he walked over to this drawer and then pulled out this giant silver harmonica. And then he came over and started playing it. And he started playing it normally, and then he like put it on his nose and started playing through his nose, and then he kind of like grinned at me, and I was like, nice. And we were just having like this funny little moment, and then he started playing a church song, and I can't remember what. Mom, do you remember what song it was? All is come ye saints, or all is well. Okay, one of those two.
Same song.
Yeah, same song. Yeah, okay. So he started playing that, and I just started singing along, and we just had like this great little moment. And yeah, I love him a lot, and I'll miss him.
I just had a short little story. Yeah, all of us can have a short one. But, so Grandpa was a huge fisher, and my little family loves to catch fish, and it was so fun at Maple Grove. But no one likes to gut their fish. Oh, we're eating. Maybe it's not. Yeah, no one likes to do that part, and so Grandpa always had like the fillet knives or whatever they're called. And so anytime we'd catch our fish, we'd go over to him and say, Grandpa, honey, we need to help with this. Or then when I was older, it was, I need to borrow your knife so that I can get them. And then he would come over, and of course it was really sharp, so he was like, okay, well, I'll just supervise. Well, he didn't say that. He just kind of like walked with his hands in his pockets and followed me to like the riverbank. And then I would pretend that I didn't know how to do it. And so then that happened like year after year after year that I still didn't know how to do it. And so then I think the last time that I remember, I was like, I don't know, maybe like 15, 16. And I was like, oh man, I just don't remember how to gut this fish. And he was like last year and the year before or something like that. And I was like, yeah. So he always just did it for us, and it was super sweet. Yeah, that's really it.
Okay, so I'm fairly new to the family, so I didn't know Grandpa super well. But one thing that I remember when I very first came to a family function with the Walker family, like, no, this was probably 7 years ago. We were just dating, so I didn't know anyone. And she says to me, if Grandpa Walker made anything, don't eat it. So that's something I'll remember. But another thing is when we were at Maple Grove one year, we had just got married, so I was barely, didn't know anybody still, but my trunk of my car, the latch broke, so it was taped shut with duct tape, and the duct tape was kind of falling off, and I was trying to get it to, stay closed so we could drive home, and it wasn't working very good. I didn't have any duct tape, so I was just doing my best. Grandpa Walker shows up. He just had duct tape, and he just starts taping it for me.
Well, I think we were seeing her around, it's like, bye, bye.
Yeah.
And then we turn around, and he's like, I got it. And he
Yeah,
just was
he
duct
just
taping
taped it
for
up.
us.
It's good to go. So yeah, that was cool. Last thing, the thing I'm gonna miss the most about Grandpa Walker is Grandma Walker saying Wayne. That was my favorite thing. I'm gonna miss
Okay, my story is also pretty short. Bree actually reminded me of the story, actually. So, my family, my mom and dad, us siblings, we all decided to go take out Grandma and Grandpa Walker out to Checorama so that they could eat as much as they wanted. So we all went to Checorama, super fun time. We're all, getting our food, And we start to see, you know, Grandpa Walker grabbing food, not putting it like on his plate, but just kind of shoving it in his pockets. And he just was grabbing it, putting stuff on his plate, and then he'd grab stuff and just shove it in his pockets just so he could take some more food home. And then there was also that same night, he may or may not have slipped off into a booth somewhere by himself, and we couldn't find him for a little bit. So we're all on this long table, and we're like, where's Grandpa? We haven't seen him in a while. So we go look, and he's just kind of in a booth by himself, eating his food with the food in his pocket. So anyway, that's one of the memories, recent memories I have of him.
We can keep on going with stories that are fun. Grandpa was also just a guy that would always come running to my mom whenever she needed help with stuff. And I always kind of felt bad because I wasn't as skilled as him, and Grandpa would come and explain how to do things for me. So Mom has a sprinkler system at her old house that she had to turn on and off, and Grandpa would have to crawl underneath this crawl space and go underneath the house. There's a hole that you can kind of get down to, then you really had to crawl to get over to this area and turn on and off the sprinkling system. But this crawl space was scary. And Grandpa probably knew this, and he did something that he's probably still laughing about. But he stuck a stuffed animal underneath there that was really scary. So that if you came around the corner to go that direction, here's this really ugly, scary stuffed animal that's right there looking at you. And the first time I saw it, it scared me pretty good. He's a trickster. But one thing he did do, he was always very helpful on everything with this skill of coming over to Mom's house and helping out. And I just remember always coming around. If I couldn't get there in time, Grandpa was over there. So I kind of got the guilt feeling that I wasn't there, but also feeling what a great, awesome man that he was that just could come over and drop everything to help my mom out.
Now I have to like
project
really. So I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know him that well just because he was like in his later years for most of my life. But recently, just before he passed, we went to go visit him, and it was one of like the good days where he was like actually in the space that he was in instead of just spacing off into the distance. So he always said that like with the arrow thing we've been talking about all night, that like on his deathbed he would finally tell us when how to do it so that the legacy can go on forever. And so we were talking to him, and my mom was like, you should tell us how you do the arrow thing. And him, in his just enough there to know what he was asked, was like, oh, I do it very carefully. Like, this whole time he was always like, oh man, when I'm on my deathbed, you have to wait till I'm on my deathbed in order to, like, learn the secret of the arrow thing. And then we were talking to him, and he was just like, very carefully. And we showed him a bunch of different arrow things he had in his little room, and he was like, yeah. It was very carefully. We were like, did you use like heat or water or something? And he's like, those are guesses. Those are indeed things that happen sometimes. So I don't have much else to say, but that was pretty funny.
Grandpa told me a secret. When I was like 10 years old, he said, Grandpa, how do you do it? This is what he does.
He got this special treatment.
You smile. And you look at
Amazing.
Yeah, we might, if we all put our minds together, we might be able to piece together how he did it. So our last visit, my daughter and I went, my wife was in Thailand, and we had some chicken feet in the freezer, and my wife was going to make it when she came back from Thailand. So Grandpa said, we need to bring him some of the chicken feet after she made it. So that was his last request from us, but unfortunately he's not going to have the chicken feet yet. So, but in regards to the arrows, he said, I'll give you a hint. He said, once I have all the pieces together, I can do it in under a minute. So that's what he told me, because we were all there trying to interrogate him. We figured in some kind of a lucid moment he would accidentally give up the secret, but So he said under a minute, once he had all the pieces, he would prepare everything, he'd have it all there, and he said, and I can do it in under a minute once everything's ready to go. So if anybody else has more secrets, let's piece this thing together.
It's a puzzle.
I actually went to school.
I had a couple of moments that I wanted to share when Dad was playing his harmonica. He came to visit us in France, and we went into the subway to show him the metro in Paris, to show him how it was, how you could get around Paris in the metro. And there were people playing down in the metro. They play for money to get donations. And some of them have violins, some of them do other things. But there was one little band that was playing, I forget what they were doing, but and what they were playing, but he decided he had his harmonica with him, and he was going to go over there and play with them. They were a little bugged because they thought he wanted some of the money that was coming in. But later, we were visiting some of the sites of World War I up in northern France, and there were some people, some guys from Australia, and they were playing, what was it? Waltzing Matilda. And he got up there and he played with them, and they just loved it. They loved him playing Waltzing Matilda too. And I was gonna add, he did tell me part of the way he did these arrows back before he started hiding it, and he used to actually put the arrowheads into water, let them soak for quite a while, and then he would squish them down with a vise or with pliers, and he'd put them through whatever it was he was going to put them through. And then he put them in a microwave, and the microwave would heat the water back up inside the arrows, and they'd expand back to where they were. And that's how he did a lot of the ones with the arrows. So that was one of the secrets. He actually did other things too, but that was one of the ways
Many techniques.
How does he do the screw through and then in
I don't know how he did the screw thing. That
breaks my brain.
very carefully, I guess. He had needle nose pliers that he could use too, and he had all sorts of things that he did that way. But yeah, the thing with the bottles, that I was still mystified about that one. But the main thing he did was the microwave and the water.
I just wanted to add one thing about the Australian people. So they were touring the Australian monument for the war. They were touring the Australian monument for the war. And Dad heard them speaking Australian. Okay, and so he started playing Waltzing Matilda, and they started crying. And they said that they were so amazed that whenever there was a thing that was so important to them, somebody would show up and make it extremely special. And this was my dad this time. He made that war memorial extremely special by playing Waltzing Matilda. I thought I'd pass on something that one of the neighbors told me. I thought it was kind of fun. So, Dad used to go out and get rid of all the skunks, you know, and so he would grab some of the neighbor boys if my brothers were there to go get the skunks, and Dad would cage them up. Guys, this is really cool. You gotta listen. I'll try again. Okay. So anyway, so this is one of the neighbors told me. Dad would go out and take care of the skunks, okay, because there were a lot of them. And so he'd cage them up, and then he'd go with his sons to go get them. Well, the sons weren't there or opted out. he had the neighbor's sons go with him to get the squirrels out of the cages, and then he would, take care of them. Well, there was a baby one in there, and he thought, oh, there's a baby. And he says, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to take out this milk sack, and I'm going to raise it. This is going to be my baby skunk. And then he heard also that you take the tail and you put it underneath, so that it won't squirt you. Baby skunks are wiggly. So you got it out, took it out, it wiggled, and got it right in the chest. He said, hand me my gun. That's what the neighbor told me. Okay, anyway, I thought it was funny.
Ever since then, it's a hard
Sorry, you're talking about his arrows, and I have to tell you the experience I had with him in Nauvoo. Mark and I had the opportunity to go with Wayne and Joy to Nauvoo on a tour. Well, in the middle of the night, we hear this pounding going on. We couldn't figure it out. Well, he had brought an arrow about this big and about this big around, and he was using the door between us to shape it. Then Mark asked him what he was doing. He says, well, I've got a hole down the street that I put in when we were on our mission, and I want to put this arrow back in it.
I don't think that'll fit in the microwave.
Because they made him go throughout Nauvoo and take all the arrows out of all the places that he had put him while he was on his mission. So anyway, he walked quite a ways down in the middle of the night to see if this arrow would work. Well, it wasn't quite the size, so he had to come back to pound it in the door again. So when we were on the tour the next day on the bus, our tour guide decided to have Wayne tell his experiences in Nauvoo. I think he was thinking his spiritual experiences, but he started telling them first about this arrow that he was trying to get back in this hole in the top of the telephone pole. The tour guide said, all these years I've been doing the tour, I wondered what that great big hole in the telephone pole was for. So anyway, he didn't quite get it in there. He really tried hard. So, but he was the mascot of our tour.
It must have been Chip. Get the arrow thing.
I had failed to thank our Relief Society here, the Fourth Ward Relief Society, Sister Child, the president, and all those that helped, and all those that set up tables. We thank you very much. Let's give them an applause. Till we meet again.
What are you playing, Wayne? Church song. Prophet to digest latter days.
Nope, don't know that song.
That's it, that's the totality.
Yeah.
What is that song called? Itty bitty folks round three little fishies and mama fishy too. Swim, said the mama fishy, swim if you can. And they swam right over the dam. Boom, boom, diddle-dum, waddle, choo. Boom, boom, diddle-dum, waddle, choo. Boom, boom, diddle-dum, waddle, choo. And they swam right over the dam.
I gotta make up the music.
What did he say?
He's got to make up music to that. It was a weight loss. Yeah, let's see you make up music to that. Oh, that's funny.
Red River out.
What's that called?
Did you ever name that? Huh?
Looking back.
And what is it about?
He doesn't have words, I don't think. Just the
Life, I
name.
guess.
Looking back on life?
Life's events or something.
Does it take you all the way back to living outside of Delta?